So I think today's video is a video that I've already created on my channel, but if you haven't binged my content yet, you probably haven't seen it. And to be honest with you, I'm not even sure I made a video on this topic, but this topic is one that comes up so often through my coaching business that I'm pretty sure I did, but maybe I didn't. So this might be the first time I'm talking about this, but I'm sure it won't be the last. So single ingredient foods versus multi-ingredient foods, which is better for weight loss and why? So as the title or as the name would imply, single ingredient foods mean there's only one ingredient in the food, and multi-ingredient foods would imply that there's many different ingredients in the food. Now, from my opinion, and this is opinion based on 35 years of working and coaching with clients, training clients and coaching clients. So if your goal is to lose weight, which are better, multi-ingredient foods or single ingredient foods? Now, my opinion is that, and again, my opinion is based on just working with people. It is always going to be easier to lose weight when you eat single ingredient foods versus multi-ingredient foods. For instance, a multi-ingredient food would be a chicken noodle soup. Now, and this really goes if you're tracking your food. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you already know how I feel about tracking. If you're not tracking, you're guessing. And it's going to be very difficult for you to guess your way to success. So let's say you got a chicken noodle soup that has 6 ingredients in it. And you have 5 4-ounce bowls. And you take your spoon, your big spoon, and you're scooping out chicken noodle soup into all 5 of these bowls. Now, all 5 of these 4-ounce bowls have an even amount, each have 4 ounces of chicken noodle soup in them. Great. The problem, however, is that each of those 5 bowls is going to have a different amount of each ingredient in the bowl. So although they all weigh 4 ounces, these 5 bowls all weigh 4 ounces, they're going to have a different macronutrient profile within each bowl, making it almost impossible for you to know how much carbs, how much protein, how much fat, and how much calories is in each bowl. Again, even though they all have 4 ounces of chicken noodle soup in them. Now, the advantage of single ingredient foods, especially from a tracking standpoint, if you eat chicken, if you eat broccoli, and if you eat rice, you have the ability to measure out your chicken and track that. Measure out your rice and track that. Measure out your broccoli and track that. And then you can be nearly precise on your protein, your carbs, your fat, and your calories for that individual meal. Remember, a calorie deficit is important for weight loss. But in order for you to know, like I always love when a client tells me or someone asks me to tell them what they should eat or how much they should eat. And I tell them, but they have no intention on tracking their food. So if I tell you you need to eat 1,400 calories a day, you need to have X amount of protein, X amount of fat, and X amount of carbs, and you never track your food, how will you know that you're eating that 1,400 calories a day and that many macronutrients from the protein, carbs, and fat? There's no way of you knowing. So you still need to track your food. I love when my clients say, well, just give me a diet. Well, that doesn't work because the diet that works for you today may not work for you the same in 3 weeks. As you start to lose weight, your metabolism changes. As you start to gain muscle, your metabolism changes. So that's part of the reason why I tell all my clients, I've been in this business since 1990. That's one of the reasons why these static diets never worked long term. Because the problem is over time, you change, your requirements change, but the diet stays the same. And that's why that diet that worked for you at one point stops working. Not because the diet's no good. That's not the reason why the diet is no longer working, because the diet was good at the stage that you were at when you were using it. You have now outgrown that diet, and that's why it doesn't work. And I think I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit. But and whenever I get off topic, you can tell that I'm passionate about a piece. I'm passionate about fitness, nutrition, health. This is what I do. But certain things I'm a little bit more passionate about within the subject of fitness, health, and nutrition. But I believe, just through experience, that if you eat multi-ingredient foods, if you like I have clients that like to make fancy recipes and they like to get creative in the kitchen. I can tell you that those clients always have a harder time losing weight than the clients that eat multi-ingredient foods. Now, an example of a multi-ingredient food that actually works, and I always use this example, is tacos. And the reason why this works is because the end result is a multi-ingredient food that starts with single ingredients. So I can measure out, let's say if I got 5 ingredients that are going to go on this taco, I can measure out each ingredient, track each ingredient before it goes on the taco shell and I eat it. So multi-ingredient foods can work. But if you're eating like stews and stews and soups, if you're eating stews and soups, you actually can, well, again, you can't make that work. I was going to go in a different direction. You can't make that work from this standpoint. So I tell my clients 80-20. If you follow this rule with single ingredient foods and multi-ingredient foods, it can work. And what I say by 80-20, I mean that you need to do the right things 80% of the time. If you do the right things 80% of the time and you're off 20%, you're going to get really good results. So if you eat single ingredient foods 80% of the time, and that 20%, you want to get fancy in the kitchen and make some fancy type of recipe, that's fine. We can deal with that because you're doing enough of the good to get a good result, even though you're not perfect. And what I tell my clients is that you don't need to be perfect to get to where you want to be. You just need to do the right thing most of the time. And 80%, I found, is the sweet spot for that doing the right thing most of the time. So that's my opinion. Again, supported by a lot of research with clients on single ingredient foods versus multi-ingredient foods. So let me know down below in the comments what you think, what your experience is with single ingredient foods and multi-ingredient foods. And if you need any help on your journey, click the first link below in the description, fill out the form, and the two of us will figure out together what we need to do to get you from where you're at to where you want to be.